I'm reading here two articles from this newspaper titled The National Church, Letters to German Christians. And this is from October 1937. And sorry for the noise in the background. That's my dog chewing vigorously. um, so, anyway, this article is titled A Blow to the Oxford International. 12,000 participants in the Reichstag in Eisenach passed the following resolution. The current struggle of the scriptural churches on fundamental questions and our responsibility before the people and the church gives us cause for the following declaration. Number one, the National Church movement of German Christianity, right? That's the German Christians, knows itself connected and committed to the people's religious community abroad. In the German fatherland, after decades of decline into materialism, distance from God, and indifference. Wow, my note, we see that in today's world. Continuing, new forces of faith have emerged. From the power of faith, we become the German people. And as in the days of Martin Luther, today the Germans search and struggle are pushing for a true, free, scriptural reformation. We know that in our people's German religious community, beyond our borders, a true religious search is at work. Their need and their struggle for nationality and faith is our need. The National Church movement of German Christianity therefore calls its members and beyond the entire German people to heartfelt and active participation in the fate of our people's religious community opened up. Um, we greet you in confident faith and unbreakable loyalty. Number two, the struggle for nationhood and faith, the recognition of the necessity of a written reformation has also begun in other peoples and churches. Among them, too, the conviction is growing that the written church is not called upon to exalt and support the diversity of the peoples and races that God has created through a international, written international. Among them, too, the belief is growing that the scripture has its quiet and faithful service to perform for and in the people in whom it was born according to God's will. Thus, the national church showed thus the national church is shown by the young international church movement, German Christians, pleased with the sympathy which today finds its will in living religious forces, currents, and movements in other countries. It is ready, on the basis of respect for the ethnic and ecclesiastical individuality of peoples, to contribute to understanding among the religious nations and to fruitful cooperation between their churches. Number three, because the national church movement, German scriptures, is that right? Or should it be German Christians, maybe, is concerned with the, should that be scriptural faith or Christian faith of the German people? I think it should be the German Christians are concerned with the Christian faith of the German people and not with a secularism disguised as Christianity or with a world policy disguised as Christianity. So, yeah, just I want to note there that Google Translate is translating, I believe it's translating Christianity as scripture, which I think is wrong. So, anyway, where was I? We categorically reject the so-called ecumenical movement, right? And that was in England, wasn't it? We passionately protest against the ecumenical movement conducting a political attack against nationalism, right? Because if I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but I think the ecumenical movement in Britain and I think America, I think that was international, right? That had nothing to do with Christianity for England or anything for just the British people. Anyway, continuing. I'll read that again. We categorically reject the so-called ecumenical movement. We passionately protest against the ecumenical movement conducting a political attack against nationalism, to which we fervently belong, by way of the church and by misusing religious faith. But terms it didn't translate good. A written conference that attempts to speak and judge church, people, and state according to the Oxford methods has forfeited the right to appeal to the gospel. It serves politics and is building a world council of churches alongside the Vatican in Rome, a Vatican in Geneva or Canterbury. The so called ecumenical movement has thus condemned all who wish to preserve Luther's legacy. It has fallen prey to the fate of the political international to which it has surrendered the Christian faith. Mhm. German people marched beyond the Jubilee ranks of all political and spiritual internationals. With it, the national Christian movement moves German Christians into a new day, a joyful Christian faith. So that's interesting that they're talking about the ecumenical movement, which I think could be linked to the social gospel movement in the United States, and that was definitely a Jew coordinated or influenced uniting of all churches and Judaization of all churches. I've talked about that in other videos, and I need to do more research on it, but um, I know there were rabbis and a lot of Jews, the B'nai B'rith, etc., involved in or with a lot of churches or pastors, whatever you want to call them, early on in that social gospel movement. And I'm sure they stayed in the movement. Um, so yeah, so that was a quote unquote one world religious movement, whereas the Germans are trying to get back to real Christianity, which was for the white race, the German race, etc. So it wasn't for everybody. Anyway, so then here's this article. It says, loyalty to the Fuhrer, the national church movement of German Christians, right? The German Christian movement, sent the following telegram of greeting to the Fuhrer and Reich Chancellor on the occasion of its fourth conference. Over 12,000 men and women from all regions of the fatherland who gathered for the Reich Conference of the National Church Movement of German Christians in the Wartburg town of Eisenach send their greetings with grateful love and unshakable loyalty to the Fuhrer of the Reich, the creator and bastion of German unity. Signed, Loeffler. The following letter was received in reply. It's from the state secretary and head of the presidential chancellery. It's dated October 11th, 1937. And it says, Dear Mr. Loeffler, the Fuhrer, right, Hitler, and Reich Chancellor, Hitler, has instructed me to express my sincere thanks to the participants in the Reich Conference of the National Church Movement of German Christians for the greetings they have sent him. Heil Hitler, signed Miesner. And then there were two other telegrams sent, one to the Reich Minister of Church Affairs, Kurl, and it said, in unswerving loyalty to the National Socialist movement, over 12,000 men and women gathered in the Lutherstadt Eisenach on the occasion of the Fourth Reich Conference of the National Church Movement of German Christians. Greet the Führer's commissioner for church order, trusting in the victory of faith in the church as well. And then the last one was to the Reich governor and Gauleiter Saukel in Weimar. And it basically says the same thing. So the end says that the greet the Reich governor and Gauleiter of Thuringia, the guardian and protector of German freedom of conscience and belief in the heart of Germany. Or it says the green heart of Germany. I'm not sure if that's correct. Maybe, right? Grunen? I don't know. So anyway, um, but yeah, so it shows that obviously, I mean, 95% of the Germans are Christian. Um, Obviously, Christianity was, you know, the number one important thing in Germany. It was part of most of the Germans' lives, including most NSDAP members. Obviously, Hitler did not reject the movement. He was friends with many people within the movement and knew exactly what it was. He supported it. The movement absolutely 100% supported him and the NSDAP. And here you can see, at an early date, they had 12,000 people come to this conference. Can any quote unquote pagan or heathen type nonsense group that note the NSDAP was shutting down? Can any of them claim that they got 12,000 people to join into a big meeting? I doubt it. So anyway, very interesting. I got to try to find some more of these the national church issues. So some good stuff in them.